Hello everybody, this is Steve from the Retro Man blog, and you've just heard Against the Grain, which is the first track on the brand new album from the Fallen Leaves, If Only We'd Known. And we're pleased to welcome into the pod today two members of the Fallen Leaves. We have
Rob Symmons, guitarist, Fallen Leaves.
And Rob Green, the singer.
Hello Robs, and also we're joined by Mr. rock photographer Paul Slattery.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, and thanks
Hello,
for
Paul.
coming in, Fallen Leaves.
Our pleasure.
Rob and Rob. So that was a great track, Against the Grain, from your new album. And is that out now? Is the album out in the shops?
It's coming out on April the 1st, so probably I don't know when this broadcast will be. It will be in the shops, but there's no shops to put it in.
That's true. So we can order it online, and
You can order it on all these horrible, modern, newfangled ways. You can order it on Amazon. In fact, you can order it now, even though it's not. It's on Amazon now on pre-order.
And we will hope, we've got a sort of website. It's a bit behind the times, but hopefully we'll get that CD up on our own website and we can send it off to you.
And that's fallenleaves.net.
It
is, yeah.
Great. And so you're going to release that on vinyl as your sort of all analogue and...
Well, we'd love to. We'd love to.
We have looked into it, but we just can't afford to do it for the amount that we sell. We do everything ourselves, pay for the recording, the pressing, the mastering, and we'd love to do vinyl. If people would buy it, we'd definitely do it.
And this is on your own record label, Parliament Records, isn't it?
Yeah.
Have you released any other bands on Parliament Records? Or is
No.
Have you done for your own...
It's just for us. It's
Just
a very
for you.
narcissistic record label. It's just for the Fallen Leaves.
But you do club nights and you help other bands and you put on other bands, don't you? You've done that for a long time now. So I thought you would have branched out into putting...
Well, we're not really business people. That's the trouble. We think we're the kind of champions, the glorious champions of the great underachievers. So everything we release loses money. Almost every show we play loses money, and long may that continue.
But it's always good fun though, isn't it? Despite that, losing money. Well, you did well. I mean, we put you on at the Retro Man blog night in December, and that was the first time me and Paul had seen you. And it was fantastic to see you live there, and you got a good reaction, didn't you?
That was a brilliant night.
Yeah, it was good fun, wasn't it?
Really.
One of the best.
One of the best ones we've had.
Thank you.
It's not always like that, but as Rob says, we don't mind. We just love playing.
Yeah.
Whether there's anyone there or not, doesn't matter to us.
Well, it was a great night. I mean, I hadn't. I'd heard of you, but hadn't seen you, and knew you were local. But when you came on, and I heard Rob's guitar, and I saw this bloke on stage drinking a cup of tea while he was singing, I thought they're quirky. And I like quirky. I like quirky, but I like Rob's guitar too. Yeah, it was a great night. Great night. And you really set the night off well, I thought.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
We only heard about you or saw you the night of the gig that we put on. Where
We're not very good at publicising ourselves or pushing ourselves forward. We're not the week. We don't get our records reviewed or anything. We're not the sort of people that's going to go out and sell ourselves. We're never going to do that. So we just do what we do, and we think we do it well. We love doing it, and then if anyone finds out about it by accident, then that's great. But we're not going to go out there and really push ourselves.
Well, you've been going 8 years, and you're still here because you like playing. I mean, it's as simple as that, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound too pious, but we do it because for the love of it. For us anyway, if we started doing it for the money, well, A, you'd be disappointed because there isn't any bloody money, and secondly, the personal touch is what it's about. We played for you because we're friends with Andy from the past tense, because we've put them on, because when we put on our own nights, like you, we only put on groups that we like. If we don't like them musically, we don't put them on. So, that's the criteria. The criteria isn't have they got 500 fans they can bring. The criteria is, do we like them? Because we want to run club nights for music that we like.
Well, that's how it started, really, because when we first put on our own Parliament Club, which was in Richmond, which is our sort of home base and our hometown, it was because there was no other venues in Richmond that had music on anymore. And we loved all the groups that had played there in the past, in the old days of Richmond, and we wanted to bring that music back. And we wanted to bring people over to Richmond that we really liked and wanted to show to people of Richmond that there's great groups out there.
I said I didn't see the passion.
there's another track from the new album called Passing By. Tell us a little bit about how you formed the band, how you met. I mean, Rob Symmons, you were in Subway Sect originally, and how did you get to meet each other and
Well,
form
at
the
the
band?
same time I was in Subway Sets, we also knew Rob, who was a friend, and he'd gone to a school with another friend of ours. So we go back from those punk days, really.
Oh.
And Rob used to come along to the shows and see Subway Sets play. When I was out of the Subway Sets, Vic was doing his own sort of things. Rob shared a place with Vic. And during that time, me and Rob got together and did our own songs, which we'd record. Well, we put them all down on cassette.
Give us one of the first songs you wrote together.
It's not our favourite
It's
song.
not our favourite song yet. One of the ones that's from back then on the first album is called Back to You,
Okay.
but it's not our favourite.
No.
Okay.
What else was there, Rob? But there were lots of kind of little ideas. Oh, one of the ones on the new album
Yeah.
called Girls in a Trance, that came from back then, but it is slightly different now, but the words are pretty much the same.
Well, let's hear it. Let's hear Girls in the Trance.
Yeah,
from,
Okay, that's a good song.
She's a girl in a trance. Can you watch her dance? If I look into her eyes, maybe I'll have a chance with a girl in a trance. I am the singer, sing songs so fine. I am the winner's win. She's mine, oh mine, oh mine. I am the singer, only need a glance at the girl in a trance. Now's the time to make a start, to rearrange a different kind of art. If I could mesmerize, make me a part of the girl in a trance. I am the singer, singing songs so fine. I am the winner's winner, she's mine, oh mine, oh mine. I am the singer, only need a glance at the girl in a trance.
I had a tape of all the songs that we recorded at that time, and I remembered all the songs, and
Yeah.
I always thought they were great songs. In sort of a few years ago, when we first started the group, I got sort of re-fired up about music again. I tried to get Rob back interested in music as well,
Yeah.
and I had these cassette tapes of the songs we did, and sometimes I'd ring him up and tell him about sort of lyrics and things, and he couldn't remember any of the songs we'd done. He didn't even believe that I had these tapes of the songs. So I had to gradually introduce Rob into the songs. And also, we got sort of fired up by me taking along to see Billy Childish, didn't we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which band was he playing with at the time?
The Buff Medways at the
The Buff
time.
Medways.
Yeah.
So that was the early '80s then, I would imagine, was it?
I guess it was, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess
Well,
it
what
was,
happened
right.
to me, I was interviewed about the Subway Sets by this boy called Steve Beho. He phoned me up to do an interview, and I'd never been interviewed before, and he got my number out of the blue, I don't know how. And the interview never really happened, his cassette player didn't work, but he
Hang on,
started
check
sending me tapes of music. He said, "Why aren't you playing again?" And started
Yeah.
sending me tapes. And on the tapes he put little songs by the Billy Childish or the Sonic. All people I'd never heard of Billy Childish,
Yeah.
never heard of the Sonics. Hearing that sort of sound of that music again, that sort of brought back to me memories of the sort of music I
Yeah.
heard when I was younger.
Yeah.
Just that raw sound of the guitar sounds, you know, particularly. That's also the sort of things that I started to play to Rob in the car. He used to bring the sort of tapes along and put it in his car.
And when you saw Billy Childish, you obviously saw something that inspired you to get back and get the band going, and you had the impetus to write music again?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, Rob strong-armed me into coming, and, you know, I'd just fallen out of love, really, I suppose, with live music. And there were two things, really. One, I was driving my van one day, and I know we might come on to this later, and I turned on the radio, and there was a Ramones track playing. And I just kind of thought, you know, I remember how much I love this, and it was just fantastic. And then Rob strong-armed me into going to see Billy. And, you know, that just reawakened. It had just been asleep for inside me all these years. That reawakened in me a couple of the things that I had always believed so passionately about playing music, which was, one, you didn't have to be a great technician in order to play. You know, Van Gogh wasn't technically a brilliant painter.
Yeah.
And if you play a Billy Childish record to a guitar technician, they're going to say the man can't really play.
Yeah.
So, you know, you don't have to be a brilliant technician to play. You don't have to be young to play. This is a nonsense. It's a myth created by, I'm not sure who created it, but, you know, they don't believe that in jazz. You don't have to be
society.
You don't have to be 18 years old to play jazz. You don't have to be 18 years old to play blues. You don't have to be 18 years old to write classical music. Why do you have to be 18 years old to write pop music? It's ridiculous.
That's true.
So Billy clearly showed that if you do it for love and for passion, and that inspired us to start again.
Yeah.
So he was an important figure, Billy.
Okay, well, let's hear a Billy Childish song. This is the Buff Medways and Sally Sensation.
If I could just explain the way my mind is, if I could just refrain from breaking my heart again, I wouldn't feel so lonely, I wouldn't feel so alone, I wouldn't feel the way I do, but maybe I'd have a home, I'd have a home. Sally, Sally Sensation, Sally, Sally Sensation. If I could just tell you the dreams in my mind, then maybe you'd let me back into your heart again. And I wouldn't feel so lonely, I wouldn't feel so alone, I wouldn't feel the way I do, baby, and maybe I'd have a home, I'd have a home. Sally, Sally Sensation, Sally, Sally Sensation.
Well, I met Billy Childish at that time. The first time I went
Yeah.
to see him.
Was that the Boston Arms?
No, we
he
used to
was-
go there once a month.
Yeah,
But
he was playing in Canterbury.
Okay.
And I persuaded a friend, because I'd heard these bits and pieces on tapes.
Yeah.
I thought I'd really like to see him, and I persuaded my friend to drive me down to Canterbury. And I went to see him, and on stage he spoke about being on the White Riot tour at the Rainbow, when all the whole place, because we're all sitting down watching. He said when I was at the Rainbow, everyone got up and smashed the chairs.
I was there,
So I-
smashing the chairs. He was on the stage. I was in the audience smashing up the chairs.
So after the show, because he had a really nice guitar, because I love Bo Diddley, and he had a sort of Bo Diddley shaped guitar. So after he played, I went down and said, "Oh, I was at the Rainbow." And he said, "Oh, were you?" And I told him I was in the Subway set, and he liked that. And I said, "But I can't play, you know." And he said, "Nor can I." I said, "You've got a fantastic guitar, you know, it's like a Bo Diddley guitar. I'd love to have a guitar like that." And he said it was made for him, somebody. Well, I didn't have a guitar or anything.
That's great.
And him sort of saying, all I do is like a sort of pattern of shapes on the guitar, you know, I'll move this hand, and I can do that.
Yeah.
So that, it was...
So you found a kindred spirit in Billy
I definitely found a kindred
And so-
spirit. Yeah,
so-
it's definitely a kindred spirit.
Did you get the guitar that you're playing on stage at the moment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that wasn't done on purpose, really. Rob's much more decisive for me, and he said, "We're going to do the group, we're going to go out and buy a guitar and an amplifier, and we're going to go and do it today." We hadn't even started the group, really, we just got these old songs. And we went to the first music shop, which was in Kew, and I didn't know what to get, because I'd had a Fender Mustang at the time in the Subway set. But because I hit the guitar really hard, I used to always break the strings on the Mustang. Joe Strummer would come on and lend me his Telecaster. And when I used to come off, people used to say, "Oh, it's much more powerful when you had that Telecaster." But Joe Strummer got really annoyed because I used to hit his guitar so strongly. But he used to afterwards ear break the strings as well, and blame me for breaking the strings. So when we went into the shop, they didn't have. They just had a. We looked around. We knew we wasn't going to get a Gibson. It's going to be a sort of Fender or something. I didn't have a Mustang, which I used to have, and I saw the Telecaster. And I remember that Joe Strummer had the Telecaster that used to lend me, and everyone said it sounded much better than the Mustang. And Rob said, "Okay, we'll buy that." And there was a Fender Twin Reverb in there. Steve Jones had one in the Pistols. And we said, "Well, we have that." And we walked out the shop with the Telecaster and the Twin Reverb, and that's what we've stayed with ever since.
And you get a great sound.
Well, it's almost
fantastic sound.
Although we don't know, neither of us know really much about the technical side of guitars. We knew what we didn't want, because we didn't want to look or sound like a rock group. So we knew that meant we didn't want a Les Paul. That meant we didn't want Marshall amps. Not for us. I mean, great for the Who,
the valve amp,
but we wanted an older. So we decided. We knew that So we liked the fact that the Telecaster had this very powerful, but also a kind of trebly, edgy sound, and it made sense. If you play a Fender guitar through a Fender amp, you're going to get that. What we now know is that kind of Fender sound, and particularly the way Rob plays it, which is very kind of rhythmically. Yeah. And so that's where the sound came from, and we stuck with it.
But you not only play it, you kind of
attack it.
Attack
in a way, yes, exactly, because you're always banging it and kind of squeezing it. And I've seen very few guitarists do that to it, and it's very interesting the sounds that come out of it when you do that. When you just bang the butt of it, Rob, when you've just played a chord and you bang it, and it just goes wow 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 in a different kind of way. It's extraordinary.
It's because I always loved the sort of sounds of certain guitars and things, and as you know, I'm not a musician or anything, but I love sounds, and to get that sound when you play it, when you get on stage, when it's sort of the right moments, and you sort of you hit that first chord, sometimes it just sounds to me so fantastic. I just love that electric sound, the humming sound, the thing. Yeah. You just want to really hit it, and on a good night when we're really sort of fired up. Yeah. It doesn't have to be anyone there, but I just hear that sound of that amp and it ringing and everything.
Well, he's playing air guitar. He's doing
that's why
air guitar.
That's why we're down front of your gigs, because we like it too. Quite honestly. In the interim, Rob, did you? What happened to your guitar career in between playing with the Subway Sect and then the Fallen Leaves? Because there's kind of a
there wasn't any guitar.
It won't take long to answer that.
No, wasn't there? Well, there was a 30-year gap. So what happened to the guitar?
The guitars went. So there was no point in me having a guitar at home, so I wouldn't know how to play it.
Right.
That didn't really interest me into playing.
So we're just just getting up and playing live.
I only play when we play live. Yes.
Okay. Right. So you're not one of those people that sits in the bedroom rehearsing.
Never.
You just get up and bang it out. So that's where you get that excitement still, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the Ramones. Were they? I mean, you wouldn't say listening to Fallen Leaves that the Ramones are an influence on you musically, but did they play a big part in you in your musical upbringing?
They certainly did in mine. I would say that, and I think you were there, Paul. I saw the Ramones at the Roundhouse, I think, in 1977. I think Rob saw them in 1976. Mm-hmm. And I would say it's the best concert I've ever been to, other than Fallen Leaves concerts, obviously.
Of course.
But because they worked so hard. Yeah. Their work ethic was incredible. And, they weren't brilliant musicians, but they could write songs. You've got to have songs. My thing is you have to have songs. Mm. You have to have the sound, and you have to have songs. And we kind of believe that actually the only truly radical thing left is to be traditional. And there's nothing wrong with the traditional song of verse, chorus, maybe a middle eight, not that I really know what that is, but a bit in the middle that's different, and then a repeated chorus and you end. There's nothing wrong with that.
You missed out the guitar break.
A little bit of a guitar break, maybe. That stood the test of time, and there's nothing wrong with that. It depends how you play it. And what the Ramones had, although musically they're different from us, but what the Ramones had was the combination of very, very rough music, predominantly driven by Johnny Ramone, and a singer that could sing, represented by Joey Ramone. If you took one away from the other, you listen to Joey Ramone's solo material, it's pretty poor because it's so weedy. Yeah. But if you listen to Johnny Ramone without Joey Ramone, it just sounds like a racket. Yeah, but true. You put the two together of the rough and the smooth, and what you've got is a great sound, and I think that's what we've got.
I think
We've got
that's
the rough
true,
and the
isn't it?
smooth
Yeah,
together.
I think that's why.
Which one's which?
I'm the smooth.
Yes, because I think that's when we saw the Fallen Leaves. You know, you've got Rob's guitar, which is just this crazy discordant guitar, which is fantastic. But then you expect someone to be sort of shouting or doing like more punky vocals, but you're almost crooning, dare I say?
Well, Rob would have to comment on that, but I have to comment on Rob's guitar player because I don't want to sing with any other guitar player. And you know, if you look at what happened to Dr. Feelgood, I love Wilco Johnson, but without Dr. Feelgood, it's not the same because with Lee Brillo, he had a proper singer.
Yeah, that's true.
And on some of the tracks on the first Feelgood LP where Wilco is singing, for me, they're not as good. But I don't want to play with any other guitar player. And if I played with another guitar player, it'd be too weedy.
Yeah.
I'd end up sounding like Perry Como.
Well, it's very interesting you talking about the juxtaposition of the two of you. You know,
Well,
the two of you
I
joined.
you know,
It's
I
very
wouldn't play.
interesting.
I wouldn't play. I mean, I have been offered, as Rob knows, but I wouldn't play with anyone else but Rob. I played in the subway sets. When that stopped, I didn't want to. We did have different sort of things going on, but I didn't want to do anything unless it felt right to me. And Rob gives me, you know, when I was in the subway sets, I was always being told I was a useless guitarist, can't play. I mean, it's terrible, you know. And I know I can't play, but Rob believed in me that I could play, and Rob's confidence in me enables me to do what I know. I'm not a great musician, but Rob says what you've got is something that nobody else has. With the two of us together, you know, I love Rob's singing, he loves my playing, and it just sort of works for us.
Yeah.
I couldn't play with anyone else. I mean, I couldn't play another song. I wouldn't know how to play. If someone said, "Oh, play this song," and Rob's the same.
Yeah.
As,
But it's
you know,
all about
musically.
chemistry, isn't it? And it's all about, and like you said, if you've got Wilco, when Wilco left Dr. Feelgood, a lot of people, it wasn't the same.
It wasn't the same.
And I think when
Certainly
you've got
wasn't.
that chemistry is so important in music, isn't it? And that creating that tension or the juxtaposition of different styles or whatever it might be. But that chemistry sometimes is just more important than anything. And you can't create that. It's just something that happens, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, I mean, the best example, probably, or the most famous example maybe of that, I mean, I would say the Ramones are the best example, but probably the most famous example of that is Keith Richards and Mick Jagger. You know, I can only say my opinion, but I'm sure lots of people agree with it. You listen to either of their solo material, it's woeful.
Yes, that's right.
But you put the two of them together and something happens.
Yeah. And talking to the Ramones, let's you picked out a favourite Ramones track, which is Loudmouth.
Yeah.
So let's hear it. So that was a great Loudmouth by the Ramones, and a good choice there. I think we're all big Ramones fans. And
I think, you know, my thing, I think, I can't remember if I said this earlier, was they worked so hard. You know, they were grafters.
Yeah.
They went out there. It wasn't about musicianship, but it was about having great songs, and they worked so hard. And you got to have that work ethic. Andy Warhol used to say that to the Velvet Underground. You got to work.
But that's like one of your mottos, isn't it? A good idea played badly is better than a bad idea played well.
Yeah,
Which
that's
I love.
Rob.
It's great because it's true. A lot of the great punk songs, if you strip down a Ramones song to just playing it on an acoustic guitar, it sounds fantastic. You know.
How when I first heard the Ramones out in '76, I had to go to Paris. on the boat train, because you couldn't get the LP here, it's imported from America to pick up the LP.
All right.
And it's just amazing that you can just press it up on your phone.
Now we can get
and
it
get
on.
that track.
Yeah.
That's what spoils, I think, in
Yeah.
music. You
There's
have
no
to search it out. You know,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
days for searching to go and get that. To
Yeah.
take, you know, had no money, go on the train to Paris, pick
Just
it
to
up,
pick up
bring
the
it back,
record.
and be like the first one in
It's
the country
dedication.
with it.
Yeah.
But what's great about Ramones is, you know, we had music at that time. You know, the bass and the guitar, they were just playing the same notes. So it's like 3 notes.
Yes, root
They're just
notes.
copying each other.
Yeah.
And you forget how radical that was. And probably even the Trogs had a bit of a bass line or something in there, but that was just both of them, downstrokes only, hitting the same notes, changing to another note, and then maybe a third one if you're lucky. But with a great singer over the top and great melodies
That's true.
and simple drumming.
But that was like the Sex Pistols, wasn't it? When you listen to their early demos, you know, Glenn Matlock's doing all this melodic bass lines,
Yeah.
but when it got round to them actually making Nevermind the Bollocks, the bass and the guitar is purely where they get that power. Is the bass is just the same sound. But if you
Yes.
listen to their early demos, it's very melodic bass playing from Glenn Matlock.
Yeah, but I think that was better for the Pistols. But for
Yeah.
the Ramones, that worked well for them.
One of our quotes, which certainly fits the Ramones, and I think it fits us, is that simple and easy are not the same thing. What the Ramones did was simple, but that's not easy, what they do. Play that fast, play it tight, work hard, that's not easy. It's simple, but it ain't easy. And I think what we do is simple. They're simple songs.
Yeah.
Simple songs for complex people, aren't they, Rob?
But
Yeah.
That's another one of our quotes. But that doesn't mean they're easy songs for easy people.
But it's true, because you listen, I mean, when you listen to the Ramones lyrics, third verse same as the first.
Yeah, that was great.
Second-
Well, first
I mean,
time I heard
that's
that,
genius.
yes,
Who's going to
yes,
write? It's
yes.
so simple, but
Yeah.
you couldn't, if you sat for an hour like trying to write that, you're never going to come up with that, are you? It's just pure genius, isn't it? To
It
keep
is
that
genius.
beat on the
Well,
brat
but
with the
you
bass
hadn't
back.
even
But it's,
heard people having the 1, 2, 3, 4 in a song before
Yeah.
you heard the LP.
No.
You
Yeah.
can't think of what it was like at that time. I saw the Ramones in '76, and that's where Malcolm McLaren first said about the subway sets playing.
so Malcolm McLaren saw you as a gang of lads come up to see the band, and he thought you were a band. Is that right?
I had made a T-shirt with subway sets on,
Okay.
and he saw that. It had already been in little bits in the music papers about this group called
Oh.
the Subway Set that no one had heard of.
Yeah.
But
And you hadn't done any gigs.
no, I didn't have the group then. We probably had any instruments. No.
Because I like
That's
there was a
the
Vic Godard quote where he said that they were talking about they couldn't play. They were in the band, and he said that the drummer thought the bass drum was just somewhere you could write the band's logo. He didn't. he didn't know you actually played the bass drum. So then with Subway Set, you were, instead of Malcolm McLaren, you were taken up by Bernie Rhodes as your manager, wasn't it? Why did Malcolm McLaren pass on you then?
Because at that time there was the Grundy incident thing when the Sex Pistols, you know, they were quite small before then. And
Yeah.
they suddenly went sort of massive. And Malcolm McLaren's, you know, we were going to rehearse in his place in Denmark Street, and then they went really, really full-time Malcolm, and we just happened to be on. I think we'd supported the Clash a couple of times, and we were rehearsing in their room, and we got 2 of us want to go with Malcolm and 2 want to go with
Yeah.
Bernie.
Yeah.
But just, I think Malcolm's time would have been full on with the Pistols
Sure.
at that time.
And then your link, Rob, was that you apparently were singing at Bernie Rhodes' Club Left. Where did you? I keep hearing these things that you were singing, but what were you singing with Subway Sect or with your own band at the time, or?
Neither, really. I was living with Vic at the time. We were sharing a house together. Vic knew I could sing, so I did some backing vocals for Vic one time, which was okay, except Bernie was incredibly... I think he'd won the competition for Britain's Rudest Man probably 3 years in a row. But that was okay, you know, Vic asked me to sing, so I sang. But I was always much more into singing, really, I suppose. And I tried to find it for you because you asked for rarities, but I couldn't find it anywhere. I had it on a cassette tape. There's a cassette tape of me singing a version of the Trini Lopez song, If I Had a Hammer. Great song.
One of
Great
my
good song.
favourite songs.
Fantastic song.
At Club
I've got.
At Club Left.
Oh, is it really? And
Yeah.
is that doing the round somewhere? Is it?
Well, I've got it somewhere. I just couldn't find it. I tried to dig it out of my cupboard for you, but
Perhaps we should play the original.
Trini Lopez. Well, no, my version's better. That's the trouble.
Well, let's hear it. Let's play the original.
I had a hammer in the mall, a hammer in the inn, all over this land. A hammer on day
So tell us about your first album. So it's too late now. So you've got the band together, you met each other, you got back writing songs.
Well, we got Paul back in, was the original Subway Sex bass player.
Oh, Paul Myers.
Paul Myers, yeah. We had a problem getting a drummer, didn't we?
Yeah.
So we booked some rehearsal places. Paul had played with Paul Cook before, so he helped us out on a few early rehearsals as well.
Oh, so Paul Cook from the Pistols is now playing with Vic Godard now.
Well, he likes playing with Paul Myers because they're in the professionals together. So he helped us out. He's never going to play with us, but he helped us out at the beginning, and that was really helpful.
That's good.
And the first album, we had the songs. We wrote the songs really, really quickly. I mean, I don't even like calling them writing songs because they don't go down. That implies that something gets put on a bit of paper. What happens is I usually come up with a basic riff. Yeah. I show it to Rob. Rob plays it. The tune over the top seems to come entirely naturally. And then we work on it together. So we had the songs ready. We went into the recording studio. It's an old converted garage in Walthamstow. And we recorded the whole thing, I think, in 2 days. And, that's partly driven by... Why is that funny?
The whole album in 2 days?
Yeah. The whole LP in 2 days. Well, because, I think, first, I know that, that's how the Rolling Stones used to record. Because one of I'm a big for quotes, both quotes of our own and other people's. Duke Ellington said, "Don't give me time, give me deadlines." Because if you give somebody 6 months in a studio, they'll use up the 6 months.
Yeah,
and they probably won't produce anything.
Or the
better
5 years, like the Stone Roses.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah. So we could only afford 2 days, and I don't really like recording, to be honest with you. I like playing live. So what we effectively do, almost, is we play it live in the recording studio. That's what we do. We record it live, and then I might redo the vocal, and that's it. All done in one take.
And we go with that first one, even if we think it's not perfect. Cause
you just bang it out.
Well, I think it's always, looking back, you always think, well, the first one was the best. Yeah. So I know the first one's going to be best. And even if it isn't the best, it doesn't really matter. No, we just go with the first one.
Each song seems to be in the right position on that album. So I don't know how you sort that out. Is it kind of luck or what?
I think it's just instinct. I mean, they probably weren't. They were recorded pretty much live, but they probably weren't recorded in that order. And then once we've got the finished product, Rob and I then decide what order the song should be on the album, and that's just instinct, Rob, isn't it?
We don't really think about it too much.
Not very much.
No, we just think, we've got to get an order. And we just do it.
But we don't
actually go in depth and think, this one's got to go.
But they're really well sequenced. I think
it's really boring.
But like your gigs, I think when you see your live, the set is perfectly sequenced, isn't it? I mean, it's really well balanced. You've got a great sense of dynamic through the set, and I think on the albums as well, it works really well. You listen to the whole thing. You listen to it as an album, and it just flows really nicely.
It's not a conscious thing, then.
No,
we just do it pretty much by instinct.
Okay, well, let's hear a track now. This is Shining, and this is from the first album. It's Too Late Now.
Drown. Are you the pretender? Run me out of town. Did you come to make that crazy, lazy, wailing sound? The light is shining down on you. Ooh, the light is shining down on you. Ooh, the light is shining down. you come to rub your salt in my wounds again? Are you here to play then those silly games? No, I tried to change it, but it's always the same. The light is shining down on you. Ooh, the light is shining down on you. Ooh, the light is shining down on you. Ooh, the light is shining down on you.
Great track, Shining, from the first album, It's Too Late Now. So tell us a bit about that track then, lads. How did you write that?
How that song came about is actually a good indicator of how a lot of our songs come about. I was, I think, watching the telly, and a video of the Rolling Stones doing Undercover of the Night came on. Oh, yeah. And I thought, oh, that's a really good riff, mm-hmm. and a really terrible song in the way it's produced, but it's a fantastic riff. So I turned it off, and I got the guitar out, and Rob's a virtuoso guitar player compared to me. I'm a terrible guitar player. And I tried to play the riff, but of course, because I can't really play, I couldn't find the riff. But I came up with another riff. Okay. So by trying to nick a Rolling Stones riff, I came up with a different riff, and then I built the song around that. So that's, I'm not saying it always comes from listening to somebody else's song, but what will happen is I will come up with the most basic, what Rob calls a pattern on the guitar. I'll give it to Rob. Rob works on it. I've already got a tune in my head, and then we collaborate, and that's how the songs come about. Usually very, very quickly. We put them together. Together. Well, Jimmy Page, I once said, not that I'm a big fan of, certainly not a fan of Led Zeppelin, but Jimmy Page said, all you need for a good song is a riff, a melody, and syncopation. Dead right, that's it.
Well, it's not just, I don't think that's not the only thing. I think the sound is as important as well.
Yes.
Because, you know, we were talking about this earlier. You know, you could hear sort of Louie Louie by the Kingsmen, it's fantastic. And you might hear a version, I don't know who by, but I mean, if Led Zeppelin did a version, it'd be a terrible song.
Yes.
And You Really Got Me is fantastic by the Kinks. If you see Ray Davies doing the solo version, it's rubbish. Yeah. So it's not just the song, it's the sound as well.
And this is going back to what you were saying about getting the guitar. You're getting the guitar more for the sound.
Yeah.
That's in your head, and then you're transferring all that into the songs, into the music, and it gives you the identity, doesn't it? You know.
Yeah.
And one thing I think I noticed in that track with the guitar is the slightly, I don't know if it's influence or such, but there's a slight Wilco Johnson rhythmic, that sort of rhythm guitar riff that he's playing there. I mean, was Wilco Johnson an influence on you when you were playing?
When I was very young, I used to go and see lots of Feelgood before they made any records or anything, when they'd play in local pubs.
Yeah.
We used to sort of follow them around a bit.
Yeah.
So they sort of got to know us, but we were only 16 at the time.
Yeah.
And I'd never heard anything like him before. In fact, I was sort of playing some of his stuff today that I'd recorded from before they recorded anything on cassette. And definitely, I think I picked, people always say that when we played last Saturday, someone came up to me and said, Wilco Johnson. I'd seen Dr. Feelgood many times.
Yeah.
All over the place. We used to follow them around, but there wouldn't be anyone there. You go into a pub and there'd maybe only be 10 people in there at that time.
Good.
But it's definitely an influence, I suppose, because the sound has come across, that sort of trebly guitar sound.
Yeah.
But also, from the Subway Set days, we were sort of influenced by things we hadn't really heard. We used to read about all these New York groups. We hadn't heard them. We just had sort of imagined how they'd be.
You like the idea of them.
We've seen pictures of them and
Yeah.
But I think Dr. Feelgood, I saw Dr. Feelgood on what has now become a kind of legendary TV programme, but it wasn't at the time. I think it was called Geordie Scene. That was probably 1975.
Yeah.
And
I saw that now. You can get that on YouTube.
Yeah, you can find it.
They're in the middle of all this audience
Exactly,
of
all these
kids.
little kids.
Yeah.
It was on in the midnight. It was on about 4 o'clock. It was on what used to be called Children's Hour.
Yeah.
And I came home from school, turned it on, and because the age I was, if you'd been 10 years older, you would have experienced the first wave of kind of tough British R&B groups. But I was too young for that. What I was into was skinhead music. So, all I listened to was ska.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, I'd never seen white people playing music in such an aggressive way.
Yeah.
And that's what impressed me. And then from then on, I would say Dr. Feelgood were a big influence on everybody. Because they played with aggression.
Oh, certainly, yeah.
Well, I taped that show off the TV. It was
Yeah.
But that wasn't the only children. They were on other children's TV shows before that. So
Oh, were they?
doing little sets, yeah. And I've got this session of they were on 1 o'clock in the morning on Capital Radio doing a session and things.
But he hasn't got the dirty white suit on in that one. I've always wondered whether the TV producers in Newcastle said you can't go on TV with that filthy white suit. Did he not have it then? Okay.
Great. Well, you've chosen the classic She Does It Right, so let's hear it. This is Dr. Feelgood and She Does It Right. Style icon in a recent interview.
That's right, yes.
Well, do you know Johnny Marr? Were you surprised by that?
I was surprised. That was funny enough that Phil, who was creeping into his conversations, said he got this free magazine at the station. He was reading it in bed, and he called me up. He said, "I'm not going to believe it. I've just got this magazine. I'm just reading it in bed, and there's Johnny Marr. And it says his style icons are sort of Ray Davies, Jasper Johns, and me." So I don't know how it's heard of me. I don't know where that came from.
Well, if anyone's seen you live, they'll understand.
They will.
I don't think Johnny Marr has.
Well, he ought.
Not in recent years, anyway.
He might be in Manchester, I suppose, with Mark Wiley.
We should get him down. We should get Johnny to come and see you.
No.